Coming to you from the heart of the Great White North. Welcome to the Canadian Prepper Podcast. Immerse yourself in the world of preparedness with insights from seasoned experts and a touch of Canadian practicality. Your go-to source for all things survival, resilience, and self-reliance. Now, let's kick off another episode packed with knowledge and strategies to ensure you're ready for whatever life may throw your way. Stay tuned and let the journey to preparedness begin.
Welcome to episode 267 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast, recording on June the 1st, 2025. My name is Eric, host of the show, based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and computer geek. So first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events and started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
And I'm Jeff. I'm based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, weather nerd, and apparently a firewood god.
And Brad, I'm in Eastern Ontario, part-time amateur prepper, constantly trying to better myself, and a can opener guru.
Can opener guru.
Oh, yeah.
You should see the draw on that bad boy, man. No, man. My name's Pierre. I'm a tactical beard owner, based t-shirt merchant, government critique. The reason we hit the explicit button every time I'm here.
It's true.
I'm Terry, live in sunny Central Ontario, official Grand Poobah of the Preppers Meet, starving indie author, and I mean starving, like, you know, nobody's buying anything. Terrible hunter, can't fish. We hit a rock with the boat this week, and still a proud foreign owner. It's still working.
Is that because it was downhill to get home?
Yeah, it was downhill.
That's why they hit the rock with the boat.
Oh my God. I should send you the video. It's priceless.
Please do.
Please do, because if the Ford is in the water before the boat, like you went wrong way on the loading dock, I'm on the ramp. I'm just
the Ford wasn't in the
we'll
water.
up our views on the podcast YouTube page for sure with that one.
The Ford wasn't in the water. Don't worry, it was good.
Okay, good. We like the environment. We didn't want to pollute it.
Yeah. Want to help support the show? Buy some swag. We have both the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the tactical Velcro patch at prepperpodcast.ca. All the proceeds help cover the cost of the podcast.
And if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and submit a review wherever you have found us. We want your feedback, even if it's bad. We also invite you to reach out and tell us something that you learned this week. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, so we've got some Discord content for you in this episode. Let's start out with some recent news articles, update you on our personal preps. Then we're going to get into the main topic, and we're answering some questions that were posted on the Discord channel for the podcast.
Yes.
So we'll move into the news. Kick her off with Jeff.
All right, I've got a few, and as everybody knows here, we try not to be political, but sometimes the politics flops over to prepping. So we're in that case here. We're not going to discuss, the politics part of it. Both parties in the U.S. have been guilty of this, and it's not just Trump, but states. A bunch of states in the U.S. are finding that their request for disaster relief is being denied. So, like tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, that kind of stuff. The state puts forward a request for federal disaster emergency relief, and they are being denied. And I'll just leave it at that.
We should tell them. We should tell the ones applying that we have a podcast for
them. Yeah.
True.
And on another part, just about there's I'm sure everybody was, or maybe not aware, but there was quite a blackout over in on the Europe side in France and that, and apparently now 2 French anarchist groups are stepping up and claiming responsibility for the massive power outage. So, as we call it, domestic terrorism. So it's I'm surprised it's not more than it is. Situational awareness, and that's going to flop right into my next article. Is I know that well, they call it football over there. We call it soccer. But there was a championship league, I believe it's called, game on the weekend that was won by France for the first time in a very, very long time. And I guess their soccer fans decided that that was a good reason to riot. So far, there's 2 dead. Well over 500 have been arrested. I seen a video somebody posted where there's 2 young females, I'm saying late teens, early 20s, in a car. Apparently they were just trying to get from a restaurant home, and they got swarmed in the riot. They busted all their windows out, smashed their windshield, and at one point they tried to turn the car over. Like come on, people, like really. Yeah. I get it, you're passionate, but like come on. These are other human beings we're talking about here, and they haven't done anything to be part of the problem. They're just trying to get home.
What if that was your daughter? What if
exactly.
Your sister in there?
Yeah. The fucking French.
I don't get the mentality of sports people. I just don't. They're just nuts in the freaking head.
5 minutes.
Go enjoy the sport, but don't smash stuff when your team doesn't win.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
So what? Yeah. It's a game, man. It's a game. Anyway. So for me, while we in southern sunny Ontario are experiencing a cool, wet spring, it seems the prairie provinces are burning. There's fires everywhere out west and northern Ontario as well. But it's really, really bad out there.
Yeah, I can speak just a quick little bit on that. I mean, I won't get into it too much, but it's just the way the jet stream goes. It a lot of people think it goes straight west to east. It doesn't. It oscillates up and down, and right now it's at a high peak over the prairies, which allows the warm air from the south to jet in there, and usually that's dry air too, and that's the problem. It's hot, it's dry, and when you have the dip down, it's pulling the cooler, damper air from Canada, northern Canada, down south, and that's why us in southern Ontario and the eastern side of the United States and that is cold and wet, or cool and wet.
Something new every day.
We'll get it eventually, but it'll take time.
Of course.
August.
Of course. August, yeah.
August.
Yeah, exactly.
I had one news article pop up on my phone that I figured would be good. Effective July 2025, new laws for driving, not even across provinces, but nationwide. So new regulation on speed zones and speeding in school zones, distracted driving, impaired driving, pedestrian zones. And I had to scroll through this whole article to figure out what the fuck ADAS vehicles mean. But just things changing. Some of them, those lane changing, adaptive cruise and all that stuff is going to be mandatory in vehicles as of July 2025, regulated by the federal government. Alcohol's gone down, some fines go up, things have changed. So would be good. We all drive to and from work. We've probably all got vehicles as preps and might do stuff. So good to get in touch with those and, hopefully not pay a $600 fine, because we could probably use that for preps. So articles in the news and or in the show notes there, just familiarize with the changes would be a good idea.
Always good to know about those changes while times are good, like you said, Pierre, so that you got some more money to put towards preps than you do towards fines.
Yeah, because when the time comes, those laws don't apply. But between now and then, we have to comply.
Yeah. This is true. Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right, shall we move into what we've done lately for preps, and we'll kick off with Brad.
A little bit of fuel rotation. I actually did my generator check today. Some food inventory check downstairs. Planning out a bunch of summer stuff for the upcoming, hopefully, warm months. And just living life, work. That's it. Jeff, what'd you do?
Well, I acquired a couple more propane tanks. I've
Acquired,
kind of-
huh?
Eric, did you check your stock?
I paid for them. Unlike the stuff I got from you, I paid for those. I laugh. I've kind of become the Facebook Marketplace guy. I'm, constantly checking it out for deals, and sometimes you can find the right deal, and if you're quick enough, it'll pop up and work really well. So I've done that. With the ice storm we had and the amount of time I was without power, and I quickly came to the realization that I thought my propane preps were good enough, and they weren't. So what do? You fix the problem.
Yep.
You add more. So that's what I'm doing. I opened up the trailer for the summer. Got that all done and ready, and luckily survived the winter with no damage. And so
no rodents. No rodents.
No rodents.
Nice.
No nothing. And did a bunch more yard and woodwork, firewood work.
Nice.
Very nice. For myself, finished the ice storm cleanup. I think we're back in the pretty good shape now. Just some stumps to clean up now, and I can get to those whenever I get to them. The garden is, gardening. I lack a green thumb, but it's sort of doing the thing. So
did you rebuild your woodshed?
No, it's still it's a new statement. I'm trying to set a new trend.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a fucked up shed.
Right. It just you know what? Just a crunched, flattened out woodshed is just going to be all the rage here. Just watch in a couple of months, all the cool kids are going to have that.
You can just pick up the sheet, put another log in, drop the sheet. It's done. Very convenient. It's done. Not limited to size. Yeah, I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, So yeah, we'll see. We're for now the woodshed stays flattened, and it's just a nice reminder of the ice storm.
Yeah.
Because why not?
There you go. For myself, learning new words due to news articles. So I'm done with the news from now on. Did some traveling for work. So I thought it was good this time. I double checked my bag before getting on the plane and leaving the house, and there was no knife in it because my truck bag became my travel bag. But on the way back, I didn't do that. So I have a bag with like work gloves, this, that, and everything. Yeah, I left a knife in that one. And then I almost got into an argument with her.
And they found it?
Oh, 100%. Right. But the other issue I have with that is I did not know you could not take like a torch lighter on a plane. Because they kept that motherfucker in Nova Scotia. He's like, you're not allowed to do this. And I was like, this is like the 8th time I literally bring it like in my pocket, like in my bag or whatever. He's like, no, you're not allowed. You can go give it to someone. I was like, I don't live here. Yeah, like, right? Like my wife's not standing outside, waiting. Like I'm completely out of province. So yeah, there was some travel for that. So yeah, that's just annoying. Yeah, did some fuel rotation. I keep cutting the grass. It keeps growing. I'm about to pave my whole backyard and just put some stuff there and like have a garden on top of the asphalt.
Clovers.
Yeah, like I am about to pave it. I am so done with grass. So much rain. It's growing like every 3 days. I'm like, I got to cut it again. Like there's so much rain. Little bit of food rotation due to a get together. Good times with friends and family. It was little well overdue. Had a supper last night. We made some ribs, some food, hung out with a few people for a few hours and just had some good laughs. Fantastic. So it was nice to just not get away, but just friends, family, and hanging out. So that was a nice little reset.
Nice.
Yeah.
Me, I spent Saturday with a group of fine preppers building a sweat lodge. Now, full disclosure, I didn't do the building. I was just hanging around looking until, which was difficult for me. Still Chuck from Oshawa Bushcraft. He facilitated the build, and I put a few pictures. I don't know if Eric could get them on the feed or not, but
let me see what kind of music I can play here.
If not, no. Go to the Preppers Meet Facebook page. I posted a whole bunch of them on there. And while you're there, go hook up with the Oshawa Bushcraft Facebook page or check their YouTube channel out as well. They've got some pretty good stuff on there.
Nice.
There we go.
Ah, yes.
There's a couple of pictures. Actually, looks like a pretty good time.
Yeah.
We had okay. There was 15 of us there all together. It was
Nice.
pretty good.
That's a good turnout.
Yeah.
Did you guys sweat at all with how cool it was?
There was no sweating.
Okay, yeah. No, like I was, I'm like it was like I don't know where you are, but I'm like it was chilly Saturday
We
here.
were thinking of calling it a chill lodge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like but
Room
nice.
temperature lodge.
Yeah, nice.
Well
That's
done.
good.
Good.
Oh, awesome. Well, with that, how about we move into the main topic for this evening? And the topic this evening is going to be fed off of a whole bunch of questions that were put into the Discord by user Gonk. All kinds of good questions.
Very good.
Very, very good questions. They cover the gambit of
Everything.
just the questions we see all the time. And the suggestion was made in the topic ideas section in the Discord to just cover them all off in an episode. And I thought that was a fantastic idea. So here we are with a list of all of his questions. And he joined us just shortly after the ice storm, if I remember correctly, with a whole bunch of questions and wanting to know how to do things. And so we've got them all broken down here, and I'll just kind of throw them out. And as we throw them out, we can all jump in with our 2 cents and see where we get. I'm also going to share a link to the Discord. If you're not in there already, it's in the live chat. Come on over, check it out. Tons of good information going on in there. So
Yes.
But he starts out with power and energy, or at least this is how we kind of line them all up here. But of course, we all talk about generators, right? And that was a big thing during the ice storm here. But it's a relatively common question throughout anybody's preparedness journey is at some point in time, you're going to start asking questions about generators and what type of generator do I need? And do I need one that only does propane? Do I need one that only does gas? Do I need one that does gas, propane, and natural gas? Like, what type of fuel do I want? What size of a generator? Operating it, moving it around, like all kinds of really good questions that he kind of put to the Discord group there. Because he was seeking out the generator, right? Yeah. So fantastic questions. And, I'll kick it off with the fuel choice. Kind of, this is typical in the preparedness world, depends, right? Yeah. But you really have to think about, am I going to be able to obtain this type of fuel source in a bad situation where the gas station maybe isn't open or propane isn't readily available, like we saw during the ice storm where propane trucks maybe weren't coming to neighborhoods because wires were down, so they weren't driving over them with good reason, right? But all of a sudden now you're not getting your propane, so maybe you're not running your generator, or maybe the gas station's closed. So all those kind of things you got to think about before you choose what type of fuel you're going to use for your generator.
So I'll jump into that quick because I'm the one that used it the most during the ice storm and kind of. So I'm a large proponent of multi-fuel, especially the gas propane. I mean, natural gas would be great. I don't have natural gas where I am, but so that kind of limits my. But for me, so the propane is good because it will never go bad. You fill your tank, and 5 years from now, something goes south, and that propane is still good. And it's multi-use. It's not just for your generator. You can run a barbecue or a like a Blackstone griddle or something like that, or off of that propane. So it's not just a single purpose. It runs my generator. That's all it does. With gas, obviously, it's single purpose. You're running, and you have to continue to refresh that gas, make sure that it's in good shape, or it starts to cause problems with clogged carburetors and needle valves and all that kinds of stuff. So, I'm a big proponent of multi-fuel, and propane is at the top of my list on that.
Makes total sense.
So
Yeah, it's a lot easier to go to your neighbor's house and take their propane tank than to go siphon gas out. No, but like you know what I mean? Like
You're not wrong.
let's say your neighbor's gone, you know they're not there, you need propane tanks, you know he's got 2 barbecues, like you can go take it and like, you know, be the good person and like replenish it and say like, hey, thanks, like having your barbecue where, you know, gas, you got to go siphon it out. It's a pain to carry. As Jeff was saying, like, you know, you got to replenish it. I'm actually doing a science experiment with 2-year-old gas right now in my lawnmower, and it's still working. It's not great, but no, I was just like, you know, it's a fairly cheap lawnmower. I can rebuild it for next to nothing. But I was like, no, I want to, like, I had a propane, I have had this gas can since last spring, and I'm still using it. I haven't put fresh gas in, but I'm like, I'm trying to see how the grass cuts and everything. Like, you know, on a side thing, I'll rebuild if I need to.
It's a great experiment. Well, times are good. Why not?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like, okay, you know, every month or so, you'll start, if you pay attention to it, right? You go to the gas station, it's always fresh gas. Buy those or get those little cans that normally people put mixed fuel for their their chainsaws or their weed whackers or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, put some gas in there, and I'm like, and leave it somewhere for 6 months, and then go take a sniff, not go hoof it and get all funky on it, but go smell it, because gas, as it breaks down, right, has a different smell. Eventually it will just straight out smell like turpentine. I don't recommend using that.
Great experiment. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you'll know what it smells like too, so you can identify bad gas versus good. Yep, I like it.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, doing that, but by far propane. If you're in an area that has natural gas, I would definitely look at the tri-fuel. I'm not 100% sure on maintenance wise for carbs and stuff like that on anything with natural gas and propane. So if you want to be more self-efficient, make sure you know how to tweak anything, take it apart, clean it. I don't know if it's any different than gas. I'm assuming it's not. It's probably just the ports are different, similar to switching natural gas to propane on barbecues. You guys change the port for the pressure. Look into that.
Yeah, basically all it does is instead of feeding gas into the bowl and kind of going through needle valves and all that, it just more or less fires it straight into the intake and right into the engine.
Okay, so right, exactly. I was like, I've never used it. I don't have a purpose for it, but I was like, if you're gonna go that route, or just generator itself, YouTube University. There's lots of people on the Discord. We've made an episode about just, you know, simple repairs. Find something, you know, reach out to Jeff and get him on Facebook Marketplace to find you a generator that doesn't run for $20. $20, but like go buy a carb kit, go buy this, you know, put $50 in it. Does it run? If it runs, sweet, you saved yourself $1,000 on a generator. If it doesn't, it costs you $50. But I'm like, you probably learned something along the way. Yep. Yeah, right. Because if in this scenario, right, Gonk was asking a bunch of questions about, well, he was in the middle of nowhere, so I assume natural gas is not an option for him. It was propane and gas. Okay, but if your generator doesn't start, do you know how to take a bowl off and, you know, clean?
It's just some basic troubleshooting. Yeah, you do some basic troubleshooting, right?
Yeah,
Ian,
definitely.
Ian from NH in the live chat here has a good point. Says not all generators like 20-pound tanks. They freeze up after 10 minutes. His generator only needs 40-pound tanks. So again, good to know how what works with your generator now versus during the emergency to have it freeze up and go, now what, right?
Yes, because
it all depends on the size of the generator, like the wattage. So if you're I have two. I have a 3500 and I have a 9000, and I can run the 3500 off a 20-pound tank, no problem. But like Ian says, you bump it up and you throw that 20-pound tank on a 9,000 watt generator, and it's not going to last long. And you know, because of how propane works, it's liquid in the tank that becomes vapor. But to do that, I don't know the whole process, but it's cold. It's really cold, and it ices your tank. And apparently, I don't know this, but people have told me that if you get into a temperature under minus 35 outside and your tank is outside, it basically will probably not work very well at all.
No, it won't.
So
It sucks.
so it's good and bad, and like yeah.
But that's also easily solvable. Either getting propane lines, you can get 6-foot ones that you can hook up so you can keep your propane tank somewhere warm, have your generator outside, because obviously you don't want to run a generator inside, but you can, get your propane tank within a certain temperature if needed. But yeah, if it gets too cold, it's definitely not going to work. It's going to be a bit of a pain.
And knowing it's kind of a good segue, just knowing how to safely set it up, because you did mention Gonk was talking about quick close call with some alarms going off with running his generator, with it just being a little bit too close to the house and getting some CO alarms, right? So knowing how to safely distance it from the house, because just being outside, sure, that's good, but a little bit of distance away from like windows and vents and all that is important as well. Because
knowing which way,
you don't
obviously which way the wind blows. Like if the wind's blowing towards the house, don't put your exhaust going into the wind, because it's just, as Eric and Pierre said, it's going to come right back and cause a problem. So
waking up dead is not good. You don't want that.
Yeah. You do that. Yeah, I was going to say, you do that.
Well, don't worry. The government will knock on the door, bring you back, get you to finish pay your taxes, and then let you go back.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Then he had also mentioned just not really having any mechanical expertise, which most of us don't have. Like minus Pierre, and maybe
Yeah, I've done a lot with them, but honestly, generators, lawnmowers, let's just stay away from 2-strokes in general right now. 4-stroke motors with the choke and a bowl, very, very simple maintenance, very simple to take apart. I could literally talk you through it over the phone if need be, or on a Discord video chat. Getting comfortable, taking it off, taking it apart, checking seals, make sure it's not leaking, your O-rings, cleaning it. If you've got bad gas in there, it's not just drain it and do whatever. Stuff gets gunked up. It's learning that will be its weight in gold. It's like having 1,000 liters of water in a scenario. Because in the winter, you got to run stuff, right? You don't have to worry about freezing, your freezer unthawing, but you are going to have to worry about it if it's 30 degrees out. I have, I just put $2,000 of, meat, veggies, everything in my freezer. If I lose power for 4 days, well, I don't have the 2,000. Yeah, I don't have the 2,000 to replace it. So learning those simple things, I mean, we're all live on a budget. What's our budget on this? Because if you've got no budget, we can go on for hours. But just budget wise, like generators, my recommendation, one of the best bang for your bucks, Furman's. I personally tell people to stay away from Champion. They're normally really good price, very hard to get parts, shitty customer service, and not good quality. They have seemed to have gotten better, but they were impossible to find parts to rebuild carbs, redo anything. Furman's have been very reliable. Generacs are very good. And if you've got the money and you want something good, 100% go buy a Honda. You're not going to beat it.
Nice and quiet.
But you're going to, yeah.
But
you're
paying for the name and a lot of money for the name. My generators both are Furman's, and like Pierre said, and you talk about, so I picked up my large generator for, it's about a $1,200 generator for $400 because it sat in somebody's garage for 2 years, and they said it really didn't run very well on gas, and I'm like, well, yeah, duh. So
because it's probably 2-year-old gas.
Let me guess, it's starting to smell like turpentine, right?
Yeah. So I just went and I picked it up, and it ran for 12 days on propane and didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, exactly. So shit. So the other thing we sort of talked about or wanted to talk about was solar and batteries and having that kind of backup. I did a fairly, I wouldn't say extensive, but I did a lot of homework on cost and
efficiencies and all of that, and for me, I just determined that my money was better spent on a generator. The solar panels are not expensive. The wires are not expensive. The batteries are what do you in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A good, decent solar battery is $400. What I paid for the generator for one battery, and they do have a lifespan, and so I did a lot of looking at that, and there's pros and cons to everything, but for me, it wasn't. I didn't feel it was the viable option for me.
Yeah, I would have it as a backup to maybe give the generator a break. Ideally, similar to Generac, Eric can attest, he was running on it. You do need to shut them off, give them a cool down period. They're not designed to go 24/7. Don't get me wrong, I've used mine 5 days straight because it was hot as hell where we were camping. I have, but like if you can, right? Like especially if you don't need it for powering everything, shut it down at night. Having a solar battery backup to run a light or two, run utilities if need be, all that stuff I get. I really refrain from anything really solar battery backup. I will have battery packs to charge a phone, do this, do that. I do want to get something that I could plug a laptop in or something, run something maybe a little bit bigger. And one of the big reasons is just unreliability. So what happens if where you have it set up you think is the best spot ever and a tree knocks it out?
Yeah. So on that, exactly, you're exactly right there. The thing that throughout the ice storm and learning all kinds of stuff was I quickly discovered that when my generator's not running, of course, nothing is working. So my router, my laptop, my monitor, like all of that stuff. And is it viable? Absolutely not, to be running a 9,000 watt generator just so I could be online and so I'm looking at a small battery bank. I'm looking something like an Anchor or a Jackery or a Blue Eddy or something like that.
Yeah.
That I can use between running the generator to continue to have that stuff if I need it. I mean, it's not necessary that I have to have it. It's nice to have, but and then when I am running the generator to cool my fridge and my freezer and run the water pump and do all that stuff, I'm charging that battery.
So
makes total sense.
I 100% agree with Jeff. I think that would be better off, in my opinion. Good, reliable generator, a system like that compared to solar and backup batteries. It's my 2 cents. I could be 100% wrong, but that's where I would put my money in. And if it's winter, I mean, Jeff probably, if he had I've got a freezer in the back room. If I just open up the door and it's minus 30 out during that ice storm, that freezer is staying cold.
In the freezer.
It's going to keep my freezer, right? So I don't have to worry about that one. The one in my house I need to worry about, but I've got separations in my house, right? Like a front foyer, back thing. So, you can mitigate that. And what's the point of running a 9,000 watt generator at, so much propane per hour or whatever to communicate with people and stay informed? Like, okay, what's the update on this? What's the update on that? I think it would be way more cost effective to go that route personally.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Moving in the next section here that he talks about is water, which is another popular prepper topic. And really it's his main concerns were backup water, with filtration
life straw
type of setup, right? Life straw. Yes. For
life straw. Yeah. Just
yes.
Have a bag full of life straws. You're good.
Life straws. That's Ian's favorite.
Next.
You'll be very happy to hear that. Yeah.
Next.
Things like a lot of people learned throughout this ice storm with the big power outage that are on well systems that no power, no water.
Nope.
Right. That's an issue. And just being able to reliably have that clean drinking water. It's great when it's, the power's on and everything's running and you can turn the tap on and the water just comes out and all is good. But once the power's out, how are you going to You're going to get that water out of the well, or what kind of water are you going to have if you're not able to get water out of your well? Are you going to have some kind of a backup ability to get water? Because that's hugely important.
There's
I
a
think that's
bunch
a
of
great
different
thing
options, and of course, me being on a well, I looked at all that as well, and there's some manual pumps. If your well isn't too deep, there's manual pumps that will just sit on the top of your well pipe and your well cap there, and they're freeze proof, and you know, I forget the price now, but I mean they weren't cheap. Don't get me wrong, they weren't cheap,
No.
but
Were they fairly reasonable?
Buy one, cry once.
I thought they were fairly reasonable.
Okay.
There's other pumps, and I can't think of the name off my head, but you would have to do a little bit of plumbing to do it, but it's an indoor, just a hand crank pump that cranks, and I'll find it and throw it in the Discord.
That'd be good.
You can use that, and the beauty with that is if you put it between your, like, so you run it kind of around your pump, you can still pressurize your system and still have some pressurized water without having to stand there all the time and crank it when you can, you know, pressurize the system. And, you know,
are you talking about the
you know, I'll tell you one thing, being able to flush your toilet goes a hell of a long ways to mental, as well as just
the whole aroma associated with it. Like let's get around it. The whole aroma, like, you know, for sure. Or, I mean, you can flush it, but there's also ways that you can just pump a bunch of water in the back, but it's like, you got to get that water from somewhere.
Yep.
Whether it's through your well or you're melting snow or whatever, all that uses time, effort, something. So, yeah. And
he asked the question, or the comment came out. It may have even been me, I'm not sure, but about the importance of 100% reliability in clean drinking water. And you know, we've done a prior episode on ways to purify water to have it be potable and drinkable and not give you the craps for a week. And so, you know,
especially if you can't flush the toilet.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And
really shitty situation.
So yeah, it's back there if people want to look at it. But there's way. I mean, it's unfortunate. There's a cost to everything, and the cost keeps going up, unfortunately. But you gotta, you know, sometimes you gotta budget, and you know, and do what you can, but get your priorities. What's a priority? Ask me. Water's 100% of our priority. You know, more than just drinking, but you know, way more important than food. You know, I've said it before. A lot of people buy all these food in a bag and stuff like that. Well, what are they? They're either dehydrated or they're freeze dried. And either way, to make them edible, you have to have water to make them edible.
Absolutely.
So if you don't have water, they're useless.
Water, food, and somewhere dry, away from the elements.
Yeah. So you're talking about the flow.
Those are.
So we only do about 3 days without water.
Are you talking about the flow jack pumps?
That might be that might be it, Brad. It might be a flow jet or whatever they call it.
It actually is in the Discord.
Okay.
Yes.
And Ian, I think it was Ian from New Hampshire, was the one who stuck it in there. Pretty sure that's who put it in there. And I looked into them as well, and they are decently priced. You can get different depths to your well, and you can get an add-on pipe system to go down even further, but it's going to take you a little bit more to get the water up. But I thought they was a good idea. Definitely a good idea to get one of those.
Good to know.
Before we keep going, Pat in the bunker did put up a good one. He's got a heated pad for his propane tanks.
Oh,
and that works. So if they freeze, but you need something to turn the heat pad on. So that kind of right, like so. But going if as Ian was saying, like 20 pounders freeze after 10 minutes, finding that sweet spot on a heated pad where you can use a 20 pounder, so you're not stuck having to turn it off and wait 20 minutes or bring it in the house, disconnect or whatever. It's not a bad option, but it's also one of those things where you got to use some of that power from the generator, depending what you want to run.
Or you can just use hot hands.
Yeah, but then you need 1,000 of them, every 3 hours.
No power. No
So-
power needed.
Costco.
Costco, but
Princess Auto.
yeah, Princess Auto. But
Sure, yeah.
I do find a heated blanket's probably going to be cheaper than buying enough of those to keep that warm for a day at minus 20, right? Like,
100%.
Challenge accepted.
all right, well, it's your budget, not mine.
Get together with Jeff at his place for a couple of beers and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Deal. I like it.
So yeah,
another
water. Another thing right over Brad's shoulder right now. Just a nice
the Berkey.
little machine. Berkey. Even if you don't use it all the time, if you've got creek, if you've got snow, you're already heating an area, bring buckets of snow in. You can filter that, or chemicals, purification tabs. There's always something, but that is also an option. Obviously, it comes with the cost association with it, but yeah.
But having the options is very important.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Let me get into, and this is another popular topic, is just like outdoor security, like perimeter lighting, and just being able to see at night. That was kind of interesting during the ice storm with the power outage there. There are no lights around. Everything is
I have
dark
three-
as can be.
Yeah, and
three solar-powered, motion-sensing floodlight kits around the house.
Yeah.
And I love them. They are fantastic. You can mount these things anywhere with a couple of screws.
Mhm.
I've seen a couple people put them up with duct tape just to be there for the
Zip
night.
ties.
Yep.
zip ties,
duct tape,
anything.
Piece of string, piece of baler twine, a couple of screws, a lag bolt. Maybe your wife holding it up there for a couple hours. It's all good.
At least it'll be a lot fucking quieter in the house.
Actually,
Oh, boy.
I hope she's not listening.
Well,
I put one of those up at the trailer actually this spring. I got it. It was at Costco. I wasn't intending to buy it. I go in and there's a whole bunch of them sitting right there. I believe it was $39.99. It's solar powered, as you say, Brad, motion activated. It's got 3 different pods on it, so you can adjust them separately to where you want the light to go. And I mean, it's not you're not going to land an airplane with it, but it was decently bright. And as long as you've got a spot that you can put the solar panel that's going to get some decent sunlight to charge it, I think it works really well.
It'll let you know when you're going out if there's a bear, a raccoon, or a skunk close to the generator while you're going to swap propane tanks at 11 o'clock at night. Something to light up in situation range.
He did make that comment in the Discord that he went outside and there was something out there and he could hear it and he could smell it, but he couldn't see it. Well, if that thing is close enough that you can smell it, you got a problem.
you need to
You
get
got a
inside.
big problem.
Yeah. So, Brad's been over to my house. I've got these. They're very small. They're only like
Your little
size of
deck
those little deck lights. I think I've had those for about 4 years. They're solar powered.
Nice.
Yeah, we're 4 or 5 years. I think it was $30 for like 8 of them. So I've got them in the backyard. Same thing, right? If they go off, there's something in the backyard. But when I let the dogs out, they walk around and we've kind of got a position that we can see them wherever they are in the backyard. Make sure they're not running after a raccoon or something. So you've got the big floodlights. You've also got small ones. So if you're in a very rural area, depending where you're going to be situated most of the time, or depending on your house, those small ones, if there's enough light, you might be able to have them off in the distance and let you know that there's something coming before it gets to your backyard, because they're very cost effective.
Those the spike lights, those little garden lights that I have, on a spike, little light, solar panel. You move them around to where you need to if you needed to, but that would be another good thing to in a power down situation, put those further out on the perimeter. They're not motion activated, but at least they give you some light, and you might be able to see some shadow and
But yeah,
the path to you.
Yeah, no, lighting's important, and it's it's tricky to kind of get just right because everybody's scenario is different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But even like these guys here, little flashlights, those little Costco guys, fantastic.
Those are the Duracells that you can have the battery pack in it or the batteries in it. Yeah.
Yep.
Those are
I just threw a link in the chat there for the exact Costco lights that I bought.
Oh, nice.
You can
nice.
look at, and they're $39.99. They're $40. They got a solar panel, like I say. They got 3 separate panels. You can adjust them in whatever way you want.
Yeah.
It's not, like I say, it's if you're looking to light up an airport, not going to happen. But it gives you enough light in the yard. You can see what's out there. You can, you can adjust the sensitivity of the motion too. You want it to come on for absolutely everything, or do you want to turn it back a little bit if they get a little closer that it pops on? But it's an option, something to look at.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, good to have a little bit of an early warning system, right? Something's up, something's there. And if it wasn't something from your house that had just gone out and headed that direction, then something else is out there that you don't know about. So fantastic to have.
Funny enough, let's segue into the next one where he says he's got wife, kids, and pets. That's another fantastic alarm system. Yeah. Also can be very annoying because they won't stop barking because themselves farted and they heard something. So, right? Like it's finding that happy medium with the pets. But
right, well, I thought you're talking about wives there.
I'm sure everybody's been through it, and I'm not saying that, but I really noticed when the power was out and there was no traffic, you could hear a pin drop from 10 miles away. Like it was just good. So you're right. Yep. That pet is going to hear somebody steps and cracks a branch. They're going to hear it. You're going to hear it too, but and it, I can see how that would freak people out.
Yeah. And
100%. Yep.
Everybody that's had a pet, if you're stressed out and there's a lot of panic going on, your pets tend to react to that. So if you're hyper alert and your dog picks that up, now your dog's even hyper alert.
Double
that
hyper alert.
That all of a sudden, Eric's dog hears me coughed east of Ottawa, which is way further, right? Because but having those lights, right? It's like I have no problems not going outside in a situation where I don't need to. But your pets are probably going to have to go, depending on your pets, if you've got a dog. So those lights we were talking about, how aggressive is your dog or territorial is your dog, that if he hears something, is he going to listen, right? So that all falls under training and everything. And I'm not going to tell you how to train your dog, but like these are all things where the outside light perimeters is probably related to, hey, I've got pets.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And he mentions just stress testing your preparedness plans, right? Like the ice storm really did that for a lot of people. And like I think we've all pointed out when we talked about just going through the ice storm, finding little weaknesses in our plans and changing and adapting accordingly. But even just every once in a while, flip the breaker in the house and just test your stuff and see how you do, right? See how you make out.
Right? One weekend, get home Friday night, turn everything off, like charge everything up for the weekend, go downstairs, flip the breaker. If you don't like it, go to a friend's house because we're doing a test this weekend.
See how it goes.
And obviously turn it on about 8:30-ish Sundays so you can come on the podcast and let us know about it.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. And I got a feeling there's probably an elephant in the room that a lot of people don't want to talk about. Like as prepared as you are, potentially the boredom of not having Netflix, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook is probably a bigger stress than like, I wasn't able to flush the toilet because I got to go outside and melt a bit of snow. I have a feeling that's probably
cold turkey. Let's call it what it is. Call it what it is, right?
100%, right? And
absolutely.
And I'm not saying that was potentially part of his stressor, but I'm just saying like we're probably all fairly prepared, but that boredom or that habit or that comfortability of like when I wake up and there's nobody up, right? I sit down, I have my coffee, I play a video game on my phone. Well, that's no longer an option. Like,
so now what?
Yeah. So now what, right? Like, so
mentally,
now you've got,
mentally it screws with you.
Yeah. So, right. So that's another factor that is associated with, like, you know, the stress test. Like, okay, but a lot of habits are changing, or comfortability, or just what you're used to are just no longer a thing because it's not available.
Yep.
So
huge.
Yeah.
Huge mental impact for sure.
Yeah.
Something to be ready for, right?
Yeah.
And then, even during the ice storm, we saw it happen with the cell towers going down, right? And like internet service going down, and just everything all of a sudden, and in a very short period of time. I'm still surprised at how quickly cell service started to go down, how quickly we lost like internet access and all that, with having the generator being able to be self-sufficient and power our stuff. But just being ready for that and having some kind of a plan, cough, cough, ham radio, you know, it's fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Get that plug in there somewhere, huh?
Oh, it's you know, comms and radio is coming up soon.
100%. That's why we left the last hour of the show for, right? Like, we got to get through the rest.
You know, we're at 50 minutes now. I figure we go for at least 2 hours tonight, because we're going to get the radio here shortly. But you know, just being prepared for all that stuff, and even Alan always used to talk about when he was on the show, is just having that deck of cards, or having that board game, or having something ready to go to just help kind of fill in the downtime, right? Because there's going to be some.
Yeah,
right? So
100%.
just filling that in, and keeping your mind active, and not focusing on what's happening at the moment, and just kind of escaping for a bit. It's important, right?
If you've got the cards and the kids are at someone else's place, I strongly recommend strip poker as a thing to go by, pass the time.
Okay, well, what you do behind closed doors,
Yep,
it's totally up to you. I am not
Depending on
coming to your place to play strip poker. Thanks for the invite, but I'm going to.
The power is out. Eric's like, I'm not going to Pierre's place. Nope, not happening. Right. So like that's another thing, right? Like, joking around, having family time, time with your wife, with your spouse, right? Yeah. That's the thing. Like, if you guys are normally like, hey, you get the kids to bed at 8-9 o'clock at night, and you get to hang out with your wife for an hour or two, whether you guys just sit there and send each other memes, you know, sitting on the same couch or whatever, like, that's going to play a factor too. So you've got to figure out how to get yourself sane to keep the kids sane in that scenario. 100%. And yeah.
No, absolutely.
And there's a thing in here that for kind of equipment and gear. So
yes.
You know, maybe you can get out, maybe you can't. When the ice storm happened here, you know, I could go one way on my road, but I could not go the other way for the trees. There was just no way. It was one way in, one way out. And the one way in was dodging trees and dodging downed wires and stuff like that. So, you know, it says a tractor needed for snow removal or general utility. Yeah, general utility. I think it was Pierre put a thing in there. You're looking to maybe put a PTO, a power takeoff for people who don't know what that is. For power, you can buy PTO generators that would run your house, absolutely. But again, you got to have fuel to run that tractor, or you don't have any. You don't have any hydro. So it's kind of again, it's that catch-22, which one is important, which one is, you know, and if I don't know. Yeah. But we also put in there recommendations for reliable a fire kettle or a cooking system, something that's not barbecue. I don't have it here, but I bought one of those. It's just a single burner that runs on a butane can.
Mm-hmm.
I bought at Canadian Tire. I believe I paid, again, like $40 for it. You can buy a 6 or 10 pack of the butane cans, and you know, if you have to, I mean, that for me is the backup for the backup for the backup. That's the wood stove, the barbecue. Now I'm down to this. And I think if I get down to that, things are really bad, but it is what it is.
Boils water and cooks food for you.
Yeah.
So I'll even go further than that. When we went hunting, we had access to a property where there's blinds everywhere. We were glamping hunting, right? Like it was fancy. So just like, okay, well, it might get cold. I'm like, well, what can I have up there for like a heat source? And I was like, hey, I know what it is. So I got in touch with my local propane dealer. Said, hey, you got any tanks that are clean, like gutted, you guys aren't doing anything with? Yep. $5 a tank. I went home. I took torches to it. I cut a hole in the top. I cut a hole in the side. And I put one of those round barbecue grills that are $5. Now I can feed this thing with wood. Anything I need to burn. And I can cook outside.
Are you starting to build a gasifier?
I know what he's after.
No, I'm looking to just cook food and boil water, right?
I had to say it for Scott. I had to say it.
Yeah.
If you say it two more times, he's going to arrive. So.
Right?
Oh, I'm sure he's listening, and he'll chime in now.
Yeah. Right. But like that butane one, I have the exact same one, Jeff, and it's sitting right behind me. It's under a few things, so I'm not going to get it. But yeah, I have that. But it's just one of those things where I'm like, those expired tanks. Call your local propane places, you know, those refill stations. We've got 4 or 5 of them close to us. Like, hey, you got a 20, 30 pounder that you guys aren't doing anything. They're already sandblasted, or they're not sandblasted, but they've taken the valves out. There's no gas. If you're worried about it, you know, a long stick with the flame, drop it in because there's no valve, and then cut what you need and you can make what you want. So you've got a propane tank that's just sitting around, doesn't weigh anything, but another way of cooking that you can kind of cook under shelter and this and that. Very easy. So yeah, we did that where we had that in the corner. If we needed to, we had some dry wood that we could make a little fire to stay warm because it was cold on some of those days. So very budget friendly for that. Yeah, very budget friendly for that.
Had in the bunker there says he took the side burner off of his grill and made it into a single burner unit.
Yep.
You know there's probably hundreds of lots of people who are throwing away barbecues that have a side burner on it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You'd be surprised how many people are throwing away a barbecue because all they need is the new elements in the middle that you could probably get on Amazon for like $60, and it's like a $700 barbecue. So yeah, you know, we'll also go there with barbecues. But yeah, that's another fantastic idea.
So we
build your own.
As times are sort of getting short there, but we talked a little bit about comms and radios and, you know, having emergency stuff and like that. So I happen to have this fancy little radio here that I may or may not have purchased from Rapid Survival. RapidSurvival.com.
Look at that. Look at that.
It's a crank radio.
Like we've all got them right here. Like
so for the audio listeners, everybody just grab the little crank radios and put them up to the camera as Jeff showed his off.
It's the crank radio. It's AM, FM. It's got weather. It's also, you know, the beauty of it. It's got a light. That light is very bright, by the way.
And the alarm
some
is
USBs on the side of it. You can charge your phones or do stuff like that with it. And
little solar panel on it.
Yep. And it's
if it's nice and sunny.
You need it. Yep. There's a little solar panel on the top, or you can just crank it. And you know, it's. I would highly recommend everybody has one of these for something.
Absolutely.
Because you know, he puts in there he's living in a communication dead zone. Well.
These work.
That's fairly confident that this would work, and you would get, if nothing else, you're going to get a station somewhere, and you're going to be able to get reliable information from. Hopefully, we're talking media here, but that you would get some reliable information about what is going on and stuff like that. So
as long as it's not CBC, you're probably safe. But this is by far your cheapest option to get information.
Sure.
You can get I don't know how much it is on Rapid Survival. This was an Amazon special. I've had it for about 2.5, 3 years. I think I charged it when I got it because I was like, that's pretty cool. And like I just turned it on and I was like, motherfucker, the light still works.
Yep.
They're fairly robust. Right. And then we can go down the rabbit hole that Eric is twitching right here to get into.
A couple more hours for 2 more hours. Yeah. There's all kinds of options, right? And he does mention one interesting thing that he kind of asks about is non-ham alternatives, right? So like your police scanners, like we touched on our crank radios, but CB's one, right? Those are still around. You might get some local comms for that. Uniden scanners, so that's a manufacturer, like a name brand, but they make all kinds of scanners, so you can maybe grab one of those. They receive only, right? So you can set it for local area and listen to things. All kinds of different options you can do for radio.
Yeah, but unfortunately, most police departments now are encrypted. So unless you want to pour out a huge sum of money for a scanner, you're not going to hear anything.
And steal the encryption key.
For that.
Well, it's even if you do get the radio, if you don't have the key, you're not hearing anything now. Which for most of them, fire EMS for the most part still available. Most fire departments, at least in Ontario, are DMR now. So if you get a DMR radio, you can still hear them. Ambulance is kind of either DMR or still open, depending on whereabouts you are. But doing some research to kind of figure out what is around and what would be interesting to listen to in your area. And then looking that it doesn't have to be ham. That hurts to say, but it doesn't have to be ham related. it can be
or if you can
get your scanners and such.
If you just have a laptop, what can you get on that? You can get, what's it, Broadcastify? Is that what it's called?
Broadcastify. Broadcastify. And you can find all kinds of, that's a good way to just listen to what's around you now and kind of figure out what other people are putting online to listen to. And then you can grab a radio and listen to it yourself if you need to, but you need internet for that. And so,
yes, you do.
But so also,
it was funny. I was watching I'll be quick. I was just watching a couple of storm chasers, and there was a big tornado that went through a town, and I just went to that municipality. I typed in, whatever, I think it was Moore Township, Oklahoma police scanner or fire scanner, and it popped right up, and I clicked on it on Broadcastify, and I was hearing everything. We need to go over here. We got a collapse over here. We got, this, we got gas leak over here. And just, so if you're local, you're getting all of that information without kind of leaving your house and knowing what's going on.
Yeah. And I also want to say that you can buy everything for ham, especially if it's a good price, probably one of the most cost effective. You just can't technically transmit on it without your license, but you can listen.
Oh, absolutely.
So that is also an option, right? Like, so don't disregard ham because you don't have your license. If it's in the budget, you're not interested in license, you haven't gotten to it, but you can get the equipment. You can at least listen to get information.
Now, I may be wrong. Eric would probably know this better than me, but your regular, like you said, a Uniden scanner or something like that, you may be able to get your local repeater just on that, and you'll be able to hear the communication back and forth.
Yeah. So,
and they can't transmit at all. So you got no possibility of transmitting at all if you have just the receive only scanner.
Right. Yep.
Then away you go.
But
then at the same point, if you want to have the ability to transmit for whatever reason, maybe get the one that can transmit and just disable it until you're ready to transmit. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's the best of my knowledge, in a very emergency scenario, you are allowed to transmit on it. So if you're in a very remote area and something is needed,
yes, if all other avenues are exhausted for communication, and your only avenue to get that emergency message out is via ham frequency, have at it.
So, you've got no internet, you've got no cell, your house phone's out and everything, and someone's having a heart attack, someone's cut themselves very bad, you need a doctor, you need an ambulance, you need something, you would be able to transmit on it. So that might be one of the best routes to go. even if you don't plan on getting your ham, because if the scenario calls for it, at least you can communicate out.
Yeah, just to throw it out there, getting your license will teach you how to program the radio, how to operate it, how to transmit, how to talk, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you'll be more comfortable come time.
No.
But you know,
But when everything is good, when everything is good, you just get yourself an Eric and preset it.
Just join the club. Be one of us. Let's get the license.
Yeah. I don't disagree, but right. I'm just thinking, like, don't disregard it completely because you don't have your license. It is 100%. There if it is needed. You know, maybe Eric will be hearing and we'll be able to dispatch someone to come help you.
Maybe.
And then we can make a whole podcast episode about it.
Mm-hmm. Possibly. We'll see. But speaking of one of us, the other thing he talks about is community. And just finding a group to be a part of that's not toxic, right? And isn't just cutting everybody down and you know, full of know-it-all people that just shun anybody that comes in that's new and knows nothing. I suggest that community is the Discord that we have going.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So
it's available to anybody. Yep. You can get to it 24/7. Doesn't matter where in the world you are, and you can throw out whatever question you want, and somebody's going to answer it for you. And or a jerk about it, they get kicked. We don't take people that are.
And there was just a discussion. There was just a discussion tonight, and Eric was part of it about radios, and you know, well, somebody puts it in a Faraday bag, and somebody said, "Well, you're wasting your time. You need to know if the radio works during the solar storm that we're having." And
it was a good point.
You know, my position is, well, I don't care if it works during the solar storm. I care if it works after. So you know, but the conversation was respectful on both sides and differing opinions, which is a good thing, you know, of having. So, you know, you're right. He uses the word non-toxic. It's hard to find that sometimes, especially with just everything that's going on in the world right now. There's so much negativity, and it's hard to find. And don't get me wrong, I've got some negative opinions on stuff too, but you know,
and especially depending if you want a coffee with no milk or sugar, because right as the pre-show was saying, right, you got to be careful how you order that depending where you are.
Got a little spicy. It was great.
Or he also says there's the interest in a mutual assistance group, and we've talked about that, and we've had a couple episodes on that how difficult it is to find that group and to make sure that you don't have that toxic person in that mag that when you really need them, they're just going to drag everybody down.
Yeah. And I'll also say that sometimes I feel that people will disregard a mutual assistance group because they're not within a 3-minute drive of their house. So mutual assistance group is not just that I can store food at your house. It's someone to talk to, someone to bounce ideas off. Doesn't matter if they live 15 hours away, you know, 8 time zones away, where technically it's Saturday and they still won't give you the winning lottery numbers, which is just insulting. But you know, right? But like ideally, yes, you want someone close to you to be able to help, because it's a lot to try and take all this on by yourself. But also, don't disregard someone that is like-minded that may not be close to you, because in a scenario, would you prefer someone you can call that's 5 hours away or nobody?
Or if things are bad and you need to bug out, can you will that person 5 hours away let you drive there and so mutual assistance group doesn't just mean someone that's very close. You know, I can get there within an hour's drive, even if there's traffic taking this back road. Like, you know, Eric lives 5-6 hours from me. Same with Jeff. Same with Terry. Brad lives 25 minutes from my house. But like, we bounce ideas off ourselves all the time. And if I need something, if there's a way that I can communicate with Eric, Jeff, Terry, everybody on the podcast, even Pat that's in the US, like, that can help, even though, you know, they're not my go-to. Like, I don't have, you know, $800 worth of dry goods at Eric's house, but I would still consider him part of one of the people I would reach out if I need something.
Well, so, look at our Discord group.
Or just look at
is on the East Coast, Ian's on the West Coast, Darius is in the middle. All of us are in Ontario. but yet we can still chat to them at the drop of a hat to say, hey, can you answer this question for me? And I would still consider them in my mag.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Or look at the scenario that happened between me and Brad last summer. Brad was in the market for a generator. I found one local to me that was cheap. Brad went ahead and made connections with the person and did the e-transfer, and I went and picked it up and met him at the preppers meet and dropped him off the generator. And I mean that, so, you know, we're 5 hours apart, but we made it work.
We can still
made that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, look at you, Jeff. You got the canner. The Pierre went
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I went and picked it up. It was 20 minutes from my house, and then I had to go down to work not too far from Jeff's place. So met up with him. Here's your canner. You know, cost nothing. I was already going down there and everything. So so I do feel that a lot of people will have a very narrow view of a mag. Yeah. Right.
Think outside.
And
the box.
we can't not mention
What's
Maple
that, Terry?
Buffalo while we're talking about all this as well. Just, it has to be said.
Yeah.
Has to be said.
Has to.
So I guess the last thing he had on there, and I think there'll be varying opinions on this, is night vision, and, you know, is it good? Is it bad? Is it? You ask 10 people, you're going to get 10 different answers. Personally, I don't see the need for it, even though I live in the outskirts of town. It's very dark where I am. I don't know. I don't. For me, I just can't see the justification of the money
cost
for that.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah,
and don't take my word for it. You have to do it yourself. You have to do your own research. We say that all the time. We give you ideas, but it's up to you to pull the trigger. It's up to you to make your own decisions. And so, you know, that was something that somebody brought up in the Discord, was about him getting night vision. And I'm like,
Yeah,
for the cost.
Completely depends on your scenario. Completely depends on your scenario, your training, what you're looking to do. Sorry, Brad, go ahead.
Jeff, you can't see the value in it because you don't have a pair of night vision goggles to see the value of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's logical. So for next week's challenge, Jeff is going to talk about the night vision he bought this week. Right. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just going to say it completely depends on what it is that you plan on using it for. Your the area that you live in, your level of knowledge on operating night vision. I would imagine that it takes a little bit of getting used to, and there's a lot of differences compared to just your regular vision. This totally, like, you're into kind of an area of personal decision making there as to whether or not you're going to make that part of your preps or not. I'm sure it's very useful in certain scenarios, but I'm sure there's also some scenarios where it's absolutely trash.
Yep.
So it's I have no expertise in this area, so I really can't speak to it at all.
I don't have any expertise either, but I mean, if you've got the money and you're ready to kiss it away, I'm not going to tell you not to get it, but I have a feeling you could probably buy a lot more solar powered lights that would be way more beneficial than night vision, in my opinion. Specifically where I live, where you live, I mean, there's a very slim scenario where I'm going to need nods, and may or may not be a new prohibited weapon that would be beneficial to me, right? Allegedly. But the cost of them, if you've got it, you've got the money, you're good with it, you've got everything, or that's the biggest thing on your preps, like, go for it. I'm not going to tell you anything wrong, but, like, don't come crying when you were like, oh, I should have done this and that. But I just find there's such a slight scenario where that's beneficial that I'm going to invest my money in the more likely scenarios. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
But if anybody on the panel goes to happen to buy some, please let me know so I can come down and play with them.
So we'll talk after about that. But yeah. Also, if night vision is a big thing or whatever, you can actually find fairly reasonable scopes that do have night vision infrared in them. Might be worth having it on one of the rifles that you may not have as your go-to hunting rifle. That might be better than night vision goggles for scenario. If you've got the funds for it and you're willing to play around with it, it's still going to be, $1,500 scope, but probably cheaper than night vision goggles, and maybe more useful depending on the scenario you're in, where you don't have to try and look through your regular rifle scope with nods to shoot a deer at night, even though it's not legal, but we're talking a specific scenario, right? That might be better than actual night visions if you think that's the route you got to take.
I'll throw this one out there. If anybody listening has any kind of expertise in night vision, I'd love to have you come on the show and talk about it, because it comes up from time to time. It's we don't hear about it for a long time. Then all of a sudden there's a lot of talk about it, and then it kind of disappears again. There's a lot of talk. So it is something of interest in the preparedness world, and people talk about it. And some people, it's high up on their priority list, and some it's in the middle, some it's at the bottom. But having an SME come out and chat about it would be fantastic, because I don't think any of us have any real expertise in it at all.
Nope.
Outside of like Call of Duty, so
I've watched I've watched a few movies with all the scenes. I mean, I've had some hours on it, but it's not the same, I'm sure. Right. And
I would say like surplus stores maybe watch, and maybe eBay the odd time might have a deal. I don't know. You got to watch out for scammers though. Marketplace, maybe Jeff can find an awesome deal somewhere with his wizardry with Marketplace. All those little spots to watch for, but scammers galore as well, right? So
on eBay, you order an iPhone 11, they give you a 5 and a 6 and a fucking card to combine the two. That happens.
some duct tape,
right. So it gets an 11 if you combine the two.
Red green special, away we go.
Yeah.
But that was the list. It's fantastic topics and fantastic questions, and it stirred up a lot of really good discussion in the Discord, to the point that it was suggested that we talk about it and make a full episode out of it, which we've successfully done. It's if nothing more, get out and join the Discord. Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just about to say that, as Eric said before, if you've got something and you are looking for advice, I'm not saying we have the best advice, but I think we have a good group of people who are from different varying backgrounds of being able to provide some direction and some assistance and
some knowledge.
Get your questions on the Discord, and if it gets a little bit of traction, we can make a show out of it. No problem.
100%. And don't be afraid to ask the questions, because everyone's friendly and looking to help in there. Zero tolerance for assholes in there. So if anybody gets chirpy and gets stupid, we just kick them.
Which is very fucking surprising. I'm still in there.
Well, because for the most part, you're helpful.
For the most part, there's some times where I'm like, I'm typing something out, and I was like, I'm on the preppers one. I was like, just delete and disregard.
We obviously we encourage good discussions. There's going to be some respectful arguments. That's totally fine. It's when we started getting in the disrespectful world and people being jerks and arseholes to each other that.
We can be a little bit of smart asses with each other.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But if people start to go over that edge, they we just don't tolerate it, right? Because we're all in there to learn and just get information from each other, right? And help each other out. That's what it's all about. So, like we said, happy to make an episode about it if we get a lot of good questions out of it, and
us for sure.
We'll do a full episode, because why not?
I'm looking for a good rabbit hole we can all go down that we haven't thought of. So like that I want someone to recommend something, something that like someone says and be like, how did we not think about it? And then all of a sudden we have a 2.5 hour episode. Like that's what I'm looking for. Like that's the challenge for everybody. Come up with something.
I think our longest episodes have been like the ham radio episodes, so we have to be able to
surprise.
I know, weird, right? Totally strange. Who would have thought that I'd go on and on and on about radio? It's strange, but yeah. So if nothing else, check out the Discord, get in there, and chat away.
Absolutely.
So with that, let's move into upcoming events, and we got Terry.
Well, we got 6 weeks away to the annual Preppers Meet.
It's coming up quick.
Coming up close.
Wow.
It's getting there. So mark it on your calendar. July 11th to the 13th at the Slovenian Hunters and Anglers Club just near Alliston, Ontario. It's going to be great. Plan on being there. I put the website in the comments there, so go have a peek at it. And training schedule's up. Still a little bit of flux going on with it, but for the most part, it's there. And some of our speakers, keynote speakers, it's going to be Tracy Wilson this year. If you're a gun person, you know who Tracy Wilson is. Mm-hmm. So, come on out and meet her. And it's going to be a good event. Great venue, good food, lots of fine people, make some great connections. When you talk about your mutual assistance groups, that's where you're going to meet people.
That's a good start. It's a good spot to start.
Oh yeah.
We might even be doing an episode live from there this year.
That's the rumor. That would be nice.
Mm-hmm. Be cool. We'll see what happens.
Right on.
All right, Jeff, you got a weather blurb.
Yeah. So it's been a couple of weeks, obviously, since we've been on it, things going on. So it's been pretty active. There's been a lot of severe storm activity. I'm going to go back when I mentioned there at the very beginning with the, the jet stream and the ups and downs. Well, that's where you get the severe storms. You get the warm inflow up that meets with the cold air that comes down. And like I said, that warm air is very dry. So you'll hear a lot of people refer to it as a dry line. So you've got the dry line, and then you've got the cold, moist air on the front side of it, and it meets the dry line, and that's when you get active storms. And because the way that the jet stream's been acting, it's been a very busy couple of weeks. There's been a lot of severe storms, few tornadoes. A couple of them have been fairly large. And that's just going to keep going right now with the way that the stream is going. I think we're going to be another 7 to 14 days of it, and things may or may not kind of calm down there. We did make a brief mention, I think, about, or we maybe didn't, but Northern Lights, and the geomagnetic storm that's going on, and talking about putting your stuff in Faraday bags and that. So that's going to cause a pretty active couple of nights of the Northern Lights that could go as far into the mid-U.S. So, if you're out in the country and you don't have light pollution, you might be able to get a look at the lights. This coming week, there is still the potential for a large-scale severe weather outbreak, probably starting tomorrow. That's going to affect the Texas, Oklahoma, kind of up through the mid-U.S. up to Minnesota. For tomorrow, it's mostly going to be just a straight line damaging wind and hail event. Tornado chances are very low. Not saying they're zero, but they're very low. Tuesday, because things go west to east, it moves more east towards the Great Lakes. The threat, again, extends kind of from the top end of Texas through Oklahoma and up into Michigan. I think Tuesday has a higher probability of tornadoes than Monday. I don't think we're looking at a tornado outbreak, but certainly a higher chance on Tuesday. Wednesday and Thursday, it calms down, but we're still going to see isolated storms in the Northeast and the Ohio Valley. And coming up next week, we could see another increased risk for severe storms in the Southern Plains in Texas. So, we kind of mentioned this radio. It's a weather radio. If you're in the States, get a NOAA weather radio or some other way to get alerts for severe weather. And I know it's funny to say as preppers, but have a plan. Have your plan for what you're going to do when you get those alerts and where you're going to go. And yes, Pat, I did say moist.
Moist.
Awesome. All right, we've got deal of the week.
So as we were talking about preps, both of these are at Cabela's. We've got the I think they're the 50 cal. They're the plastic ammo cans that come in a tray. So I think the 50 cals. They're 3 of them. come in a carry tray. And then they've got the mini ones. So they're the fairly small ones. They're not the 30 cals, but they're smaller. Carry tray, they stack very nice. I've got about 6 of them under my bench here. I have 2 of them upstairs, and I have one in the back of my truck that I have a bunch of snacks with. I call it my Tacti snack. Fantastic deal. We were talking preps. We didn't get into if the bug out scenario, kids, wife, dogs, you can have those things pre-packed with snacks, socks, underwear, games, something dry, all those things. They stack nicely. Yes, they're plastic. They're not the metal ones that everybody wants, because if you drop it, it can break. They're fairly heavy duty, but they are on sale right now at Cabela's, both of them. About $30 each, or 25, I think, for the small one, or 25, 20-ish. I'm not opening up the links. But yeah, I have them. They do work fantastic. They're also fantastic for range days. You can put all your hearing protection, some ammo, cleaning stuff or whatever. It's fairly easy to get it in and out of the house. So, well worth it, in my opinion.
Yes. And Jeff, you had a link in there too?
I did. I don't know if it's so much of a deal, but I think the price is decent. If you're in Canada, Costco.ca, they have a Harvest Right freeze dryer. It's the 4 tray, and it's on for $25.99. As I said, I've looked at
yes,
Facebook Marketplace stuff, and if you're looking at a freeze dryer, you're looking $3,000, $4,000 people want. I think the price is fairly reasonable.
Yeah.
Yes, they're expensive, and they're not for everybody, and that. But I if you're looking for something, that might be an option for you.
It's another popular item, though. A lot of people in the preparedness world try to source them and find them and just can't. So the fact that Costco's got them available right now,
yeah, fantastic. And I went into the business center where they have them in Ottawa, and it took everything in me not to oh, you guys got that credit card application? For Costco? So it has the freeze dryer, but it's also got the kit that comes with it. So all the accessories. So you've got the vacuum, or the compressor, this, that, everything. If you've got the funds and you're looking for ones, it is 100%. Fingers crossed it's still there when the budget allows it. It is a thing we want to look into on top of dehydrating like we're doing. They're very good, reputable company for it. It's not a TMU special. They're one of the top brands for freeze dryers. So yeah, it's a deal if you can squeeze it in and it's something you want to go down. 100. I mean, if you're buying it, I'll supply the meat and a little bit of money, and I'll get you to make my own food, right? That's what everybody wants it for. If I can buy, $300 worth of food, I'm going to give you $100, and you're going to freeze dry it for me. I don't have to put that $3,000 up right now. I wish I could, but if not, that could be a business venture, depending on how big your mag is, if you're the one with the money. Or everybody can chip in, another way of looking into it. So yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Very nice. All right. With that, I'll bring episode number 267 of the Canadian Prepper podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, really your favorite podcast app. I'm pretty sure we're on all of them by now. Please do submit a review. It does encourage the algorithms to kind of sort of help put us to the top for a minute or two, and then it realizes we're talking about preparedness, we get slammed back down to the bottom. But we're at least up there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And we do record these shows live on YouTube and Facebook as well. If you're a guru, I'm not. I sound like I am, but trust me, I'm not. If you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That will give you an alert when we're going live. Anybody has any questions or wants to reach out to me, and if Eric's in a giving mood, it's email is feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
One day you'll get your own. One day you'll get your own Jeff at prepperpodcast.ca. One day, I'm sure.
We'll see.
I am frequently on the Discord looking around at this, that, and the other thing and trying to make little comments where I can. Or batbradcpp@gmail.com if anybody wants to reach out.
You can find me off the wall customizing. I don't know what socialist medias we're still on because I don't do any of that. My fabulous significant other takes care of that. I am on the Discord. Most of the time, I just try and make fun of Eric when he posts something. So I don't do a lot on there, unless it's something that I could really put some good info in. Or you can find me on Monday nights at 9 o'clock on the YouTubes for the other CPP, the Canadian Patriot podcast, which is probably why you need to prep with what we discussed there. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
And for me, you can reach me on the Preppers Meet Facebook page if you do Facebook, or my email at terrylblackmore@hotmail.com. Can I say that word? Anyway,
Yeah.
I said it. And that's
It's not coffee, so I think you're good.
Okay.
I think you're all right. You're all right. Oh, jeez. Please check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
And keep learning.
As we wrap up another insightful episode of the Canadian Prepper Podcast, we want to extend our gratitude to our listeners for joining us on this journey of preparedness. Remember, the key to survival is knowledge and readiness. If you want to support the show and engage with our community further, consider signing up for our Patreon and joining our thriving community on Discord. Links are in the description. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. This is the Canadian Prepper Podcast, signing off. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe, and keep learning.